No mai haere mai to the Whākiu podcast, which invites people like you and all people from all walks of life to talk about and converse about various access to equity within the context of Aotearoa. We invite people like yourself and our very intuitively intelligent guest today to share lived experiences in an effort to find common threads within support systems, social networks, and knowledge that lifts up the collective human experience. Kelsey, what's our season 2 question today?
So this season we are jumping into what does equity and knowledge look like for various communities coexisting within one society. And as tauiwi and Aotearoa, we recognise the mana whenua and kaitiaki of the lands. Malusil and I have experienced most of our growth in the Waikato and want to honour Ngāti Haua, Ngāti Mahana and Ngāti Wairere. We are grateful for the connections our whakapapa weave through for us to be able to connect and grow with community through the Whākiu kaupapa. Malusil and I would also like to honour our queer ancestors who fought for our rights and visibility as equitable citizens of the world. Kia ora, my name is Kelsey and I use they them pronouns.
Nisa Bolavinaka, Noe Mauri, ko Maluseo toko ingoa, and people use he, him pronouns for me. And today we would like to gift it all to this beautiful, intelligent human being for them to introduce themselves as well as finish the sentence, I am.
Kia ora everyone. I'm Bridget Williams. My pronouns are, people use she and her. And am I supposed to finish the sentence, I am?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh
my
whatever
goodness.
comes through, flow it in.
I am human. I am a human, constantly seeking curiosity, time with nature, tapping into creativity, and wanting to share joy and spread sunshine wherever I go.
Wow.
That's actually no. That's what I hope. That's what I hope I am.
There's strength and intention too, for sure. And like from the so I met Bridget at Festival for the Future, and I see that in you for sure.
Aww,
just the way that you held that space in that workshop, and then the way that you individually interacted with each other at the booth was amazing. And I'm just so stoked that this has become a thing.
I know, we're doing this. We're doing this. This has been quite a journey, and it's very, very special, and I'm so honoured and flattered to be here with you both. It's such a crazy time, but at the same time it feels so right, and it's just been interesting. I've been doing a bit of reflecting. I actually just had a conversation with someone before lunch around how you are the constellation that you create around you. You get to create your own ecosystem. And I feel really special that this ecosystem for me right now is being with you both. So thank you for that.
Amazing. I want to stretch you a little bit further there too.
Yeah,
what else is in your ecosystem?
Me too.
Come on, what else is in that constellation for you?
My constellation, it is... currently with COVID right now, I would like it to stretch to Sweden. I'd like it to be reaching my sister and her fiance and their 2 wee kids that I haven't met yet. So that's Leo and Lily. I still haven't met my niece and nephew. And the thing is, this isn't unique. This is, everyone has a COVID story that connects to that. But so my constellation, that's more like it's a satellite. It's definitely a satellite circling around them, and I hope I will meet them soon. But my immediate constellation, it's currently made up of incredible, strong yet soft, just absolute superhero of a man, my fiance, which is weird to say. This is a recent thing. Oh yeah, there's the ring. It happened. Finally, after 10 years. But I'm not better. But no, so he's definitely my number one star. And then very close to that is my twin sister. She is everything. I would say she's my soulmate. Sorry, Luke. You're definitely my life partner, but Hannah's probably my soulmate. And then it's made up of, you know, a fantastic mum and dad and beautiful friends and wider whānau. I think the friends part for me right now has been something that I've realized, you know, you can choose your friends and you don't really realize how important that is, because it comes back to deciding what is the makeup of your ecosystem. So I'm really conscious about, you know, who I spend my time with. And especially for me right now, I have been reflecting on, you know, who are those friends that are really in my life. Where actually we were just talking about in the whakatauki before we started, right? Around like giving love and love received. And I'm just sort of really taking the time to question as well, where do I want to give that love to those friends? And am I receiving that love back? Because I think now more than ever, it's important to be taking stock while we are in this time of reflection around who do we want to be and who inspires us to be who we want to be as well. So yeah, I feel very lucky that I've curated a constellation of people that I think definitely lift me up. But I'm always looking and staying curious for other people to join my Milky Way of stars.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really love how you adjective that as well. So we were talking about all of these different things, but you really adjective that. Join my Milky Way of stars, and I'm like, I'm in for the ride.
I'm in. Yeah, come join. Let's join my galaxy. Let's all just join in the galaxy together. You know, I'm a big fan of metaphors. Big fan of especially using, you know, Papatūānuku in nature. I think that definitely. I don't know why, but she is where I totally find inspiration for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. So this season we're looking at knowledge, and we understand that knowledge looks and sounds and feels different for different people. So we're curious, when the word knowledge comes up, what does that evoke for you?
Knowledge. What does it evoke? Knowledge is, oh my gosh, so many things. I mean, the first thing that comes to my head is sort of almost like the acronym itself, which is like wisdom, right? But knowledge is also like it's knowing your limitations and knowing that, you know, you want to stay curious and keep learning and keep growing. But yeah, like knowledge is something that I don't think you'll ever get knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Because we live in such a changing world. It's moving all the time. So I definitely think it's something that you can't always, you won't ever fully have, because there's, you know, you won't ever fully know all or everything about something. And that's okay. There's, you know, that in itself is acknowledging that you can sometimes be without full knowledge, which I don't know, maybe that's something that as humans we struggle with, because we want to know everything, but we never truly can. Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you use the word acknowledge when you're talking about knowledge.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a similarity in that?
Acknowledging your knowledge. Yeah, I suppose. To acknowledge your knowledge. Well, I mean, to acknowledge something is to recognize it, to see it, right? And oh my gosh, and knowledge starts with awareness. And awareness is seeing, you know, it's like accepting, or like just accepting what is in front of you. And I guess that's sort of seeing, right? And I think especially when you want to do anything impactful, and with the line of work that I'm in, sometimes a lot of people can criticize, oh, you know, like it's all discussion, it's all talk, it's all, you know, like where's the action? And I totally agree with that, but things definitely start with awareness. It doesn't end there, but it needs to start with awareness. So it needs to start with acknowledgement first, before you grow that knowledge into, you know, into real learning, into real understanding. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Good question. I've never really thought of it.
No, I really like it, and I was so what I heard as well was act on your knowledge. So when you're acting on the knowing of self, or the knowing of what is in front of you, and to me, I feel like that's very much it fits in the realm of consciousness, awareness, and enlightenment. So to me, I feel very much drawn to the way that you. It's the way that you fashion around how you come to knowledge, but really will never get knowledge, and that part there is just like I love that part for me specifically, because I'm really loving swimming in the ocean of ignorance right now. So I'm so comfortable, and I'm learning deeper and meaningful ways for me to actually find new reference points in my ignorance. And that's why for me, I'm like, I love that you started off with that, just like off the bat. We will never know, like, because we never will.
Yeah. And I think that's something that's just like that's just a huge part of the human experience, right? It's just that, like, humans are not perfect. Everything we do, we're just on this one big journey. And I think sometimes as humans, we can get so caught up in the needing to know, the needing to do better, but sometimes we just need to actually take a break and be gentle with ourselves, and make peace with the fact that we are constantly learning and constantly evolving. And a huge part of that, like you see it in history, right? Like compare to the treatment of people, right? Like we've still got a long way to go, but we're slowly starting to evolve and understand. Look at like slavery, for example. Like appreciate that there is modern day slavery, but if you look at like that sort of old slavery around like for example in America, right? Like that kind of level of slavery, it's especially around the Civil War time, like we look at that and we're like, that's so barbaric. And I feel like as humans, it's because we're constantly evolving, and I hope as we go through the years, we start to evolve to become more gentle, more conscious of that, I guess you would call it maybe like yin energy, just appreciating that there's real power into accepting gentleness, accepting uncertainty, accepting our limitations. And I think we're feeling that shift of energy more and more. And I think COVID has really put that to the test, right? Yeah.
100.
For sure.
I definitely resonate so much. Like, yeah, there's so much potency in what you just said. Because even what's documented, like especially around slavery, what's documented is, and this like help me here for Whanau, this is an invitation for a conversation, but it's like, whenever we look at slavery, we always look at what's already documented, and then there's a lot of these unsung heroes and unsung stories that actually go, like, that go to sleep with. Like, it goes to sleep with the people that carries those stories. And I feel very much like it's very, like, as much as the internet connects us all, I feel like it misses the essence of why a connection is actually there. And for me, I feel like the internet could actually do so much for the unsung heroes in our stories, and at the same time it still perpetuates history's conversations, which is something that you already alluded to, of being like, there's modern day slavery, and it still perpetuates those type of histories of unknowing those unsung heroes. And it's like that's a part of human nature. Like, I've come to a point where I'm like, a part of human nature is actually accepting the good and the bad of what is in the now, and what will always be in the now. And that's something that I feel so seen whenever you talk about those things. So please carry on, because I'm like, more, not less.
Oh, I love it. Well, I mean, and I guess kind of on this, like this whole point about like the human, humans, we're all on this journey of evolving and developing the emotional state that we have. I remember reading an article that really, really sat with me. And it was this interview with a woman who's from NASA, and her job description is literally to find aliens. Like, essentially, it was to find like other life forms beyond, beyond planet Earth. And someone said in the article, they questioned her and they said, aren't you terrified of finding like an alternative race? Like why are you looking for these aliens? Like, surely, doesn't it scare you that they're, if you sort of wave the flag of the human race here on Earth, you're going to be attracting, a massive war with two civilizations. And her response was so interesting. She said, her response was, no, I'm not fearful of this, because if we were to sound the alarm that, hey, we're here and hi, alien species, like, come see us, this alien species would be incredibly ancient, far older than what we are on planet Earth. And as a result, they would probably be incredibly gentle, because history tells us that we are, becoming kinder and kinder each generation. We're by no means perfect. We still have a long way to go. 100. But I was like, that's so interesting. Like, and I mean, I would like to believe that if anything like that did happen, imagine that, we're waving our little alarm and then these aliens come down and they're just these like really humble, lovely beings. I mean, that's the world that I want to live in, or at least I want to believe in. But yeah, I never really thought about it like that, because I guess Hollywood paints this picture about, this alternative species coming and invading and being incredibly possessive and destroying. But actually, I've never thought of it like that, that as we get older and older, the more ancient a species is, the kinder they become. And maybe that's because knowledge at the end of the day is love. And the more we know, the closer we get to love. Maybe.
That's a bomb right there.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that has any kind of attachment with, like, as we grow older as people too?
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, Kelsey. I mean, when you think about it, like, we all know that bitter old person though, don't we? Like, we all know that grumpy old person. Maybe they've tapped out of their knowledge. They're like, you know what? Nah, I've accepted. This is the limit. But actually, when I do think about it, the older you get, and the people that I know in my life, and those who are those elders, right? Like, that we are lucky enough to have in our lives, they're all about love. Like, they're all about don't sweat the small stuff. They're not about the drama at the end of, and also, don't you recognize that as you get older as well, those older relatives are so keen for those family reunions, and they're so keen for time, because they're so keen to be surrounded by love, because maybe they appreciate it. But you know what? Thankfully, I'm not yet that. I'm not there at that point of wisdom yet, so I don't know. But that's a really interesting point, Kelsey. What do you think?
I think yes, but I also think that they show it in a way that's relevant for them. Mm-hmm. Like my grandmother, my dad's mum, Jean. Hey, Jean.
Hey, Jane.
Granny Carter. She is all about acts of service. She will only say that she loves me if I say it first. And her way of showing love is making everyone apple crumble. So she will spend so much time in the kitchen cooking to make apple crumble, but would never be like, oh, hi, yeah, I love you. But she does it in a way that makes sense for her, like through food. And I think, like, I potentially think that that's a generational thing of giving and providing, because maybe that's not what they had received.
So was she around through the Great Depression?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just not a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like through a time where resources were limited, and like, was it an apple crumble you said?
Yeah.
Like an apple crumble was the biggest treat, probably.
Yeah.
So she's like, here's all my love.
100.
Yeah. Do you see that in your space too, Malo?
100%. And I feel like, in a way, it's... I 100% echo both of what you said, and Kelsey, you were talking about they do it in their own way. I totally I totally appreciate that for Karo, because there's a lot of things that we do celebrate. We always celebrate the firsts, you know, the first to go to uni or the first to finish high school or the first to do all of these things. And I feel like the older these firsts people get, they actually, like, from my understanding and the way that I see the people who are bitter in my life, or I perceive as bitter, is actually because it's a protective space for them, because they know more than everybody else in the village, and they can't transfer everything that they know, and they tend to sound really bitter, and especially when it comes to like succession and talking about knowledge in general, they sound really bitter in those spaces because the intelligence isn't being received, the intelligence isn't being welcomed, and it hasn't been, because, you know, they go out to universities, they come back to their village, and they're deemed as the outsider because they've gone and absorbed all of these other things, you know, and it's like those things are so potent, and that first person to go to uni within a family or within a community, they get, it's actually quite a dangerous space for them. It's a very dangerous space because they go from being enlightenment in a Western sense because they get their PhDs or masters or whatnot, and then they come home and they get demonized and gaslit for the intelligence because it's an outsider for Kōrero. And that's, to me, I'm like, oh, I get so, there's a little bit of love that I give to a lot of my my ancestors who were perceived as bitter from what I perceived them as bitter as well when I was growing up. And there's like a little bit of love that I have for them, a lot more love that I have for them now because of because of that process. And I'm so glad that you're talking, Bridget, about the older we become, the more loving we become, or the more kinder we become. And I'm like, I can see that within myself. Like, I have been so much more bitter at different times of my life around the people that I perceived was happy and was not happy. And you know, like, when you, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I thought of someone who was going to be turning 30, I thought that they had it all. Like, me looking at them, I'm like, you had it all. You had everything. You look so excited and enjoy your life. And I'm like, did I miss this, like, train? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I appreciate my gifts, and I 100% acknowledge that, you know, there's perks and troughs for everything. And I'm also wondering, I was like, damn, I must have only judged them from that one moment that I looked at them and they were happy. And it was beautiful. But I'm really excited. Like, this is I'm gonna follow your leadership, Bridget. I'm gonna sit with this because I feel like this is a potent. No, this is gonna be so potent. And I feel like that's something that I'm invited to mull on for a little bit longer.
No, for sure. I mean, and that's something that, I don't know, it's only something that I've thought about through having this kōrero with you guys, right? Like, this conversation around it. I haven't actually given it any thought until now, but it's true. Like, we look at, you know, I've always sort of thought as you get older, the more wise you get, because you start to, you know, not get bogged down in the drama. You start to, like, focus on what's really important. And now I'm kind of thinking, actually, is that because you're also getting closer to love? Like, you're stripping away the things that aren't, you know, that don't fall within that love. I don't know. I've never really thought of it like that. So it's thanks to you guys that it's something that, I want to also sit with it as well, Malu, and take some time to connect that back and join those dots. I think there's something there. Yeah.
I feel like we literally are on the cusp of something really potent as well. I'm like, the more that you articulate it, is the more that I'm like, yes, yes.
And the funny thing is, like, just when you were talking about Kelsey, like, people who, you know, like, different love languages and acts of service, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but have you noticed, like, I don't know if you believe in it, but I definitely feel like, you know, you can be coming back to this idea of your constellation, like those people who are in your life. Surely you have a friend or someone that you know who's like an old soul. You know, that person that just seems like just ancient, like way before their years. And they're always that person that just doesn't, they just strip, you know, they just don't connect themselves with the bullshit. They, and most of the time I've noticed that their love language is acts of service. Like, when I think about it, a lot of those people that have that real old soul, they have that connection to their love language is acts of service, you know, like they're not so caring, you know, they don't really care about the gift side of things. You know, maybe what is it? It's touch and it's
words of affirmation,
time. But acts of service and time, I would say, are two huge ones. And when I think about those people that have that old soul quality, I'm like, is that because like on a deeper subconscious level, they are more in tuned and closer to knowledge and therefore closer to love, and therefore they have that connection to what love truly is? Because I'm really sorry, but I am going to call it out, and I feel like I can say this because my love language is, I would say my top 3 would be words of affirmation, touch, and then gifts. I think gifts is the shittiest love language. Like, I'm just going to put it out there. I'm so sorry. But it is like, you know, like as soon as someone says like, oh, my love language is gifts, I'm like, thank you for your candor. But like, what a shitty love language. Like, maybe you should change that. But you know what I mean? Like, I as soon as someone says, oh, that, I'm like, you're a young soul. I think you've got a bit of, you know, maybe there's a bit of love you need to keep learning there. No judgment, just acknowledging that, I don't know, maybe, yeah, coming back to this theme of like, knowledge is a journey of getting closer to love. And yeah, anyway.
I agree. I totally agree. I'm like, you want gifts? Cool. You got money to buy your own.
like, don't get me wrong, love a gift. I mean, I accept even, it's one of probably my love languages for sure. But yeah, it's always really funny, when someone's like, I'm definitely gifts is my love language. I'm like, it's good. All right. that might change as you get a bit older, maybe.
Yeah.
It's the thank you for your candor for me, like that.
Thank you for your candor.
I want to just jump back a little bit. You talked around like this idea of the constellation and your people being a constellation. And you also talked a little bit around like accepting energy. And I'm curious how like the energy maybe navigates with knowledge through that constellation and moves through that constellation and what that might look like for you.
Delicious.
Oh. I mean, like I can't speak for everyone, but for me personally, I've always sort of seen my energy as, this sounds bizarre, but like connecting to, I guess I don't know, like for me, I've always sort of seen my energy as a metaphor in suns, if that makes sense. Like, so what I mean by that is, as you know, I lie. My energy, I would say, is sort of connected to fire in a metaphorical sense. So what I mean by that is, like those who are in my, this is like real meta narrative, like metaphors on metaphors, but I'm here for it. So in my constellation, I'm conscious about like, okay, who are the embers within my fire? Like the people around me that even when I feel like I want to be put out and I don't believe in myself and I don't have the energy to grow my passion or to pursue my dreams or to grow Bead and Proceed, Kelsey, which, you know, and Malu, which you guys know is like my mahi and the stuff that I do day to day. I'm always wondering like, who are those embers that allow me to keep that warmth and that glow burning? And then I want to also fill my constellation with like wood to stock up the fire, to fuel it when it is, you know, sort of down to its last embers as well. And then who are the people that are sort of like, the air to help grow that flame when I feel like I'm at my peak energy? And then who are the people in my constellation that are just rubbing their hands by that fire? They're just standing by it. Like they're not stocking it up with wood. They're not like, you know, blowing on it when it needs to have air to make the flame grow. They're literally just using that heat And that's fine. Like, I don't mind warming others. But there are times where you do have to kind of say to yourself, hey, you're in my constellation, and but you're just putting your hands by that fire. Like, do you want to, I don't know. And yeah, so I guess it's sort of like my energy, I would say, it's connected. Yeah, it's sort of, I see it as a fire, if that makes sense. And we all have that within us. I mean, it depends on what metaphor speaks to you, but for me, fire has always spoken to me. And I see it as, it's this passion, this core that sits inside of you. And sometimes it can be embers, and sometimes you need people to help you stock it, to make it grow, and ideally to warm others, but also acknowledging that sometimes those people will just be standing by to warm themselves. And you do have to ask those tough questions, like, will they be there to put wood back on it when you are down to those embers? I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's sort of how I see energy and people in your life, and connecting those people to relevant, and making you ask those questions, like, how are they using my energy, and how do they play a part in keeping that energy aflame?
Beautiful.
A lot of metaphors there.
No, I'm totally here for it. And I also want to know what not like. So to me, can I stretch you on that?
Yeah.
Or can you help me stretch on your whakaaro, actually? Not so much me stretch you. Can you help me stretch with that? So what knowledge do you attach to wood? What knowledge do you attach to ear? And what knowledge do you attach to hands?
Oh my gosh. Hold on. This is a lot. Okay. So what knowledge
do you attach to the fuel? So the wood. The what knowledge do you attach to the wood and the fuel?
Like, what is that to me?
Yeah.
To like, what do I see as wood? Okay, I have thought about this. So I would say the wood for me is the things that I need for my spirit to grow. And so for me, that is being in nature. That is laughter, that is joy, that is dance, that is practicing creativity, putting creativity into my life day to day. It are all the things that fuel my spirit and sort of, really ignite that flame. So, and everyone's wood's going to be so odd. Everyone's wood's going to be different.
I was hoping we wouldn't go there, but I'm glad we're here.
Sorry. Everyone's wood pile.
We're already rated explicit. We're fine.
Yeah. Cool. Everyone's wood pile is different, right? And it depends on the level of, like how big the stockpile is, depends on how much you need to keep that fire aflame. And some people can stay at ember level, and that's awesome. But eventually you're going to need to, put some energy onto it. So I would say, so wood for me is definitely like being in nature, creativity, looking after myself, giving the things that I need to nourish my mind, my body, and my spirit. Embers for me is when it's basically when I'm not taking care of my mind, my body, and my spirit, and I've neglected the things that I really need to help fuel that. So, burnout is a great example. Not getting enough sleep, just going and going and going. Sometimes people, I would say water, for example, like actually splashing out the flame, like those that are a danger to your flame, being around toxic people, watching too much Netflix, like all the things that I think we know don't help you grow that purpose and that flame. And then what that flame is, like that flame for me is, passion, excitement, life, knowledge, love, right? It's, I don't know, I see it as this sort of like this light within me to want to make the world a better place, connect to my community, and hopefully leave this world with a warmth that continues to touch others and inspire them, and maybe not on warmth, maybe in some cases a spark to help light up other flames within people, so they see the potential in themselves and they get an idea from something that this flame has created to then grow their ideas and basically, continue lighting each other's flames.
And you've also, so I also want, can you stretch me as well around water? Because I said water is that toxicity and all of these things. Can it also be the repurpose? So if you've got too much water, can you repurpose water to flow differently in your metaphor what? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so like it's funny because when I speak about elements in this way, I don't ever want to like diss an element. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
like
no,
all elements are beautiful.
That's a different conversation.
This is so not where I thought this conversation would go. I love that we're talking about this right now. Okay, so like I see, I would agree. I mean, the water. Okay, how about this then? Like, you've got the bucket of water beside you in case the bonfire starts, right? In case you're like, oh my gosh, this is out of control. So water totally plays a part to a point where it's like, no, all hands on deck. We need to, this has gone far beyond than what we expected. This is out of control. You have pushed your boundaries too much, or this isn't the direction you want to go. And you want to reignite and start a new flame. So I definitely think water has a place where it doesn't need to just be, dampening your fire, dampening your spirit. It doesn't have to be in that way. I think it can also be, it's also acknowledging that maybe you're not on the right path or you need to start a new chapter. And I think water can be a way to start that. Yeah.
100. As you were saying that, I'm like this, sorry. As a Netflix expert on scrolling, I've now repurposed my life to being a movie critique. Like, that's not the word. What's the word? When you're critiquing like movies and all of these for a living.
A
critic?
Yeah, that's
critic?
it. That's it. I thought I said it. I just didn't know if I said it out loud or not.
Yeah, critic. Yeah, no, they sound like two sides of the same coin, eh? Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yes, thank you so much for really helping me see that, and for stretching as well, because you definitely have blown my mind. Like, the thing that really sits and resonates for me is weaving creativity into your daily life as a would. And I'm like, yeah, that's totally a real life practical example of how you can actually feed your own creativity and how you're able to work with the knowledge bases that you have.
Yeah, for sure. And I also think it's also about, like, for me, like, how I feel my creativity is I do find it in nature. So it's only fitting that for me, I use nature metaphors to help explain where I'm at. I would say my two things, creativity and nature, are definitely the things that I need in my life. And they're different for everyone. But I think if you can take time to work out, what is that wood to you, then that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, if we roll with this analogy, Malu, what is the wood for you? Because like what Bridget said, it's going to be different for different people. So I'm curious what yours is.
I think you already know, and that's why you asked me the question. So Kelsey really, I know you're using your abilities on me right now. It's very similar to yours. So mine is nature, and my creativity is more to do with movement. So like, it is still a practice. But for me, nature's everything, and it's always been, forever been there. And we were reminded with Raphael as well, one of our season 1 guests, around elemental ancestors. So to me, I look at nature, and I love that you already have that whakaaro with you as well, Papatuanuku and Ranginui. Thank you so much to Te Ao Māori, because to me they bridge. Like, Te Ao Māori has been able to, like, has given me agency and given me the path to actually connect back with my own indigeneity, which is something that I would have never been able to do without the mana whenua and Aotearoa. And that's why for me, I'm always forever perpetuating how grateful I am to Māori worldviews, and it's because I can see within myself and within my lineages that I carry within me the real life effect of what whakapapa is, and tracing back your whakapapa all the way back to elemental ancestors. So to me, I'm like, that's why I can really resonate with you when you were talking about creativity and nature, because I feel for me, my creativity is very much due me breathing as a radical creative practice, giving breath to my body as my radical creative practice. And I'm learning purposeful, meaningful, and intentional ways to actually sharpen how I become creative. So that's why when you were talking about your creativity as a daily practice, I'm like, you're talking to me. And Kelsey sees right through me. That's why Kelsey asked. And I'm gonna mirror this question back to you, Kelsey. What is this? What does this look like for you? Or what is your wood? What is your wood pile? Sorry, good reframe, Bridget.
What is your wood pile?
For me, it's always connection with people. Always, and feeling connected to the people that are important to me. For me, that is through just spending time with them. And, through this time, it's had to be in a bit of innovative ways. My sister lives in Melbourne, and, we've spent a lot of time on FaceTime, just hanging out. And through the first lockdown, that looked like doing yoga with each other through Zoom, which was... I never thought that I would be doing yoga with my sister who lives in Melbourne on Zoom through a pandemic. Like, what the actual heck? But that was a way that I was still able to be connected to her. But yeah, for me, definitely people. My people that are important to me, my family, my soulmate over here. And yeah, just people connection, being connected to my people, for sure.
I love that. And I'm curious, do either of you have for me, like fire is the element that I speak in to explain my energy levels. Do you guys connect with an element that speaks to you on that level? And maybe you haven't thought about it, which is fine. But if you have, I'm curious. Yeah, Kelsey? Yeah?
Yeah, go Kelsey.
Mine's not one particular element, but mine is a place.
A place.
So Wainamu Beach in Whangaroa, out in Raglan. That is a place where my soul feels the most at rest and the most at ease and the most at peace. And the photo that I showed you before of Leo, that's at that beach. And that's kind of the place that I go to when I just need to check in with myself, or I need space and time away from the world, is where I go and I can sit and I can feel tāwhirimatia because it's quite windy. So I can feel the element, and then the sand and the black sand, so the heat in the summer or the cool in the winter, and then tangaroa coming in and going out. Like it just speaks to my soul, just on such a different level too. And then that's also a space where me and my sister spent a lot of time together as well, particularly before she moved to Melbourne. It was one of the last places that we went together, and also the last place that I was with Leo as well before he passed on. So yeah, Wainamu Beach is definitely my place, because it can look so different in so many different spaces and places.
How special to have a place, like to have an actual place. That's awesome. That's pretty rare. To have a place where you can actually physically recharge. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Kelsey. How about you, Malu?
So mine's definitely water, and that's why I
asked.
Yeah.
I bet. I don't know why, but I got that vibe from you straight away. I'm like, nah, he's a water element. Yeah. That's why he wants to know. He's like, water's not all that bad.
Oh no. I actually liked you. I liked your whakaaro, because water does do that, and I feel like for me, when water puts out fire, it actually gives room for new fire, which you alluded to 100%. And I'm like, this is how the elements work together. I'm like, come on, this is how we're making lava. And we've got the heat, water flowing. Yeah. So I'm like, yes, I'm really loving that. And the funny thing is there's so much synchronicity happening here. I'm a Leo, which is a sun sign. And I'm like, so and in terms of it's like I'm a watery fire. So
you are a watery fire. Like from the interactions we've had, you are 100% that. You're like a go with the flow firebomb. Totally.
And literally, like, to me, I love that, and at the same time, I know that it's really potently, like, it's potently energized, and I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, it's taken me a long time to actually recognize that not every space is actually for me and for my type of energy, and that's because to me, I'm like, whatever space that I'm in, I'm in my life experiences and my reference points, I have to evoke the space that makes it safe for me to be in that space. And if I don't do that, I succumb to the circumstances and the happenstances that happen in that place. So as someone who carries this potency, there was sometimes when I was actually unaware of the potency that I bring. And I just evoke it, and it's just me being in the space. Like, I'm I'm 6'4", so there's no hiding this tsunami that's coming in. There's no hiding it. So I've come to a place where I really like the thing that I did want to share is that I talk to my water, so I bless my water and I ritual my water so that it can. So as the water goes, going from your metaphor analogies, I'm gonna jump into your leadership. As the water goes from the tap violently into this vessel and embodies itself in this vessel, it rushes down, and it's like this massive whirlpool of like rah into the water, and then it finds peace and calm in this vessel. So while it finds peace and calm, that's the most potent time that I give my blessings to the water, and I talk to my water when it's rushed. Like, as soon as it's come off the tap into this vessel, I bless that at that potent time, because that's the time for me that it unites and finds harmony within the bottle. So as it's doing that, I'm blessing it so that by the time it's finished harmonizing and healing itself and gathering its intelligence in this bottle, just before I drink it, it's going to do the same thing for me. So so to me, that's how I've been ritualing my water into me, and going from a body of water into a vessel into another vessel. So I'm that closely like attached to my water signs.
Yes. I love that. Oh my gosh, yay. I'm so glad I've met a fellow element connector. Love it. That's awesome. It's funny though, like I've actually had a few conversations with people about the elements. And by elements, like we're meaning like, earth, wind, fire, water, right? And we were talking about it, and we were getting into like the real nerdy level of like, what do they mean? Like, and then I remember I was like, okay, so fire was the last element technically to be discovered, right? Like by humans, like everything, like earth was just there, wind came naturally, water, it was also there as well, but it comes in different forms. But fire had to be created, and it was the last one discovered. I'm like, what does that mean for people who love fire? Like, are we coming back to this theme of, are we the young souls of the world? Or I don't know, like maybe there's just a warning around fire, that it's for me, at least on a creativity level, coming back to why creativity is so important for me, I connect fire with creativity. It goes hand in hand, because you can't make fire without creating it. So for me, creativity and fire go hand in hand, and you see it a lot in different like mythologies. A lot of goddesses throughout different cultures, they always have a connection to fire and creativity. Like I actually just discovered the other day, I think it's a Celtic goddess, and her name is called Bridget.
Yes.
Bridgit. Sometimes she goes by Bridget, and she is literally like the goddess of creativity and like poetry and art, and she's also the goddess of fire. And similarly with I think she's also a blacksmith as well, because once again, like blacksmithing is literally the combination of fire and craftsmanship.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you find these meanings that, just naturally like fit in with the meta narrative that you like and that speaks to you. And I love how you have found one, Malu, in your water. And what a beautiful way to, create that ritual within your life day to day. I think we all need more. We need to make time for those little rituals, right? To remember how beautiful it is that, like, you know, the access of clean water, like that in itself is such a wonderful gratitude practice, which is going to have so many benefits to the energy that you give through the day, and just the, you know, just how grateful we should be to have water that comes from a tap that you can drink and be still and can charge you. Beautiful. I love it.
You totally bridged as well, Bridget. You totally bridged creativity and ritual for me as well right now in this moment of being like, to ritual is to create, and to create is actually to ritual. And those things go hand in hand. And I'm like this, I can just already imagine all of our Instagram quotes coming out of this.
It's great. We should write a book.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, and I think that's the thing, like, I've also sort of just come to realize, like, human beings, this is something like just another connection, you know, like humans are naturally, like, I do think we're all quite fiery, you know, we're warm-blooded, like we need warmth to survive. But at the same time, at the root of us, we are all creative beings, you know, we all have the ability to, you know, whether it's creating the life we want, you know, creating love. Like we are constantly creating as beings. And I think sometimes we forget that, and creativity can get so wrapped up in that raw sense of the world, like to paint, to make, to, you know, to be a poet, to be an artist. But sometimes I think it's actually like we've lost the meaning of creativity a bit as well. Like, just at its level, we are all creative beings. And I think somewhere along the way, and I see this, and this is a lot that I talk about, and this is the language and narrative that I use when I explain the nature of Bead and Proceed workshops, is like creativity is something that is so important to us, especially as kids. It's just, we're constantly encouraged to create all the time. And then somewhere along the way, we just stop making time for it. And we just start to, as you've just said, we stop taking time to, you know, make space for creative rituals. And by that, we're meaning, like, you know, playing, making, that sort of thing, right? Moving, dancing, just really creating something new with intention for it to be creative, not creating a spreadsheet. I mean, but hey, if that's your jam, then you go ahead. But no judgment to those that want. Oh my gosh, imagine that spreadsheet art. No one's doing that. Maybe there's a market there. Anyway,
jump in, Bridget. That's all you, girl.
Where was I going with this? But yeah, I think, and then somewhere along the way, like, it's almost as if society says, no, creating and making is child's play. And I'm like, now more than ever, we need to be making space for this. We are so, you know, like, we're so reliant on the digital and the tech side of things that we have sort of lost touch with that really raw, authentic, creative space that we always tapped into when we were, you know, just years and years and years ago. And I think it's important that we make space for that. As you said, Malu, take time to have creative rituals. So I'm all for that. That's awesome.
I love these type of conversations. Like this literally is the healing. Like, to me, these type of conversation is healing work, because we're connecting dots of, like, you know, because a lot of the times I feel like we all are humming the same tune with different instruments. And it's like, people talk about creativity, and then, like, you know, Indigenous people, everybody's Indigenous. Sorry, that's my little pet peeve with the word Indigenous. But I'm like, you know, people are saying creative, and then people are saying ritual, and then people are like, no, it's about rituals, and then people are like, no, it's about creativity.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nah, it's the same thing, fam. Like, we're finding it's the same thing. We just you're using a saxophone, and I'm using the violin.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful metaphor, Malu. That's awesome. So true, so true. It is the same thing. And I think that's, we seem to have, I don't know. We get a bit fixated on, like, the language that speaks to us, and not taking time to reflect and realize that actually, you know, we can, just because the music sounds different doesn't mean they're using the wrong instrument, as you said. Beautiful.
You were just talking about as children we tap into this thing, this knowledge, this understanding of something. I'm curious what that might be for you.
I think with, oh gosh, so it's a big topic, and it's not one that I'm incredibly, I'm not an expert in, but I think, when you're younger, you have this real sense of boundless curiosity, freedom of expression, there's no judgment, the guidelines are small, right? You're surrounded by guidelines as a kid. You actually don't have a lot of freedom, really, when you're younger. When you're younger, you don't get to choose when your bedtime is or what you eat. But ironically, there's actually we had so much more freedom, which is weird. But that's what I mean by, it's not necessarily that as when you're younger, like you're attuned to it, but it's like society hasn't yet made its mark on you.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't put its impression on you yet. And so, yeah, and as a result, I think when you're younger and you don't, you're not surrounded by judgment or consequence, you're still figuring out all these things, these concepts are also new to you. You kind of have this blank canvas to work with, to express yourself. And that's kind of what I mean by when you're younger, you have this connection to creativity a lot more because you aren't constrained by the views of other people or society or your parents yet, because you haven't lived through it yet.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, there seems to, like, from your kōrero, what I'm perceiving is there seems to be this like arc of, as a child you can like exist in the world without judgment, and then you kind of get those society things placed on you, and there's this, and then you come back as you get older, and as you kind of shed those other stuff, that you come back to aroha, you come back to love.
I think you're yeah, no, 100%, Kelsey. It's funny, eh? Like, I think you're right. You're definitely kind of, it's like, at the start you have this, it's almost like this blissful ignorance, and then you're constantly learning and you're constantly changing, and you're like, you're being sort of molded, manipulated, however you want to see it. And then you kind of get to this tipping point of just like, I don't know, whether it's acceptance or grief or whatever whatever
just
happens up
like,
here.
Fuck it, I don't want to deal with that shit anymore.
Screw this, yeah. Nah, no more, see ya.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of, and then it's almost like you just make peace with this. And then it kind of comes back to love. And I guess, like, when you think about it, I am completely making this up as I go along, by the way, guys.
Go there.
But, like, I mean, when we think about youth, we connect that with innocence. And I think innocence and love, there's a lot of connection there, right? Like, I do believe that at our core, when you strip everything away, I do believe the human default is aroha rather than the opposite end of the spectrum being hate. Like, I really, really, really do believe that. And so maybe, you're right. I think there's definitely something there that we start with love. It's not that we lose our love as we go, but we start to, I don't know, look at other feelings and emotions and other things that shape us, and then we start to like strip away what doesn't serve us, and then we end with love again. I think there's definitely something there,
The journey back to self.
People's journey through that can look very differently. Like, some people might only have like a little bit, or some people's might be really high and then come back, close to the end of their life. I think that's very interesting.
And some
journey for different
and some people might not get there. You know what I mean? Some people might end there. I mean, and
they might be happy hanging out up there too.
Totally. They're like, nah, this is where I want to be. I'm above everyone, right? Like, I can see it all. If I strip away the other things that I've learned, like, that makes me vulnerable. I don't want to do that. I want to stay up here because I will lose everything that I've learned along the way if I get back down to love. But I don't think we should be looking at it's everyone's perspective.
Yeah.
Everyone's perspective on it would be different. But
Yeah, for sure. So interesting. I'm curious what you're taking with you on that journey back to love. What knowledge are you holding with you as you go through that?
Honestly, I don't think I can answer that yet. I feel like I'm there. I don't even think I'm there. I'm here still. You know what I mean? I don't think I could really answer that until I am hopefully there. I love it when people can see us, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Otherwise, they will have no idea what we're doing with our hands.
If you are listening, Whānau, jump in the video so you can see all the things.
We're doing a bell graph, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we're doing a bell graph. Is it a bell graph?
Yes,
I have
it
no
is.
idea. Sure.
Thank you, statistics. Thank you, year 13 statistics. We are doing a program.
We're doing a bell graph. Okay, great. And I think I don't think I could, I hope I would get to that level of love again. But I don't think I can answer that until I look back with hindsight what I carry with me. I would like to think that I carry, and this is knowledge, right? This is knowledge. This is love. This is the end of the rainbow, the end of the bell jar, so I would like to think I carry, once again, curiosity, joy, creativity, oh my goodness, all those juicy things to help others on their journey, but also recognizing that I'm also on one as well, and I don't think it stops. I don't think it stops there. 100. Who knows where it stops? That's a massive question.
Hard. 100.
What about you guys? What are you bringing with you?
My people. Always. And how can I be of service as I go through that too? And that's what I heard from your story, from what you were just saying too. Your curiosity, your joy, and your creativity as you move through that to be in service to others at the same time. I really resonate with that as well.
Beautiful.
Malu?
Everything. I'm very much this is my I live the dream and I live the heaven that my grandparents prayed for. So I'm very much where I'm at, where I need to be, and everything else exists and coexists with that, and I'm not shaming any of that, and I also 100% recognize that I'm exactly where I need to be, and and different, depending on who I talk to, they'll see difference. They'll see wherever they see in the curve that I belong compared to their perceptions, and I feel like for me, I'm 100% confident that my curve is I'm already at the end.
You're there.
I'm there because it's.
I love that.
And it's taken me a long time, and I feel like the long time for me was trying to prove to everyone else, myself, trying to prove that's why I'm like this. I can notice and hear my language every time I say people. I'm like, people.
External.
Everyone else. That mirror Maluseo is really beautiful. But so I've because I've been able to, like I said, the whakapapa to where I'm at right now is through Te Ao Māori, and even though I'm not Māori myself, I'm very much 100% so grateful to the lenses that they were able to gift me, so I can look through my journey and everywhere that I've been in my life. And it'd be so silly of me, and I feel like I would do such an injustice to the grief and the love that I have for my grandma's prayers if I didn't recognize that I'm exactly where she's prayed for me.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. And I think that's a testament to the love that has surrounded you.
100.
Right?
These two, this conversation specifically is this the first time I've ever said it out loud confidently without being excusing off, being I'm not egotistical about it. I'm like, nah, I'm confident about this. This is the first time. So please know that this is the first time me exploring the space, and it's because you two have provided the safety for that. And I'm all when I tell you guys that I'm always surrounded by mana wahine that gift me this. Like everywhere that I go, I'm always surrounded by strong women that provide the safety for me to hit enlightenment in this space. So I'm so thankful. If you don't identify as woman, I also am expanding my love to wherever you're going to. And at the same time, I know that for me, it's because like my femininity and the way that I'm able to embody it is a tribute to all the women in my life and the women that are currently in my life, if you identify as that. So I'm so thankful to you two for even allowing me to feel that. That's the question, because come on, if you wouldn't have asked that question, we would not be here. So that's why I'm like, I feel like this is something that Kelsey always reminds me of, is that it's always in community and it's always in proximity to community.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Marlo, for sharing that. So special to know, like, yeah, that means a lot that you felt safe enough to share. And, like, secretly kind of jealous that you're there.
Thank you. No, like,
what's it like?
Thank you for letting me know, because it is me as well. I'm like, sometimes when I'm trying to I'm trying to fearmonger myself to being like, you're not here. You know, like, there's an element of me that's like, stop saying it out loud because you don't know. And I'm like, well, I never fucking will. So you better say it, and otherwise you're not gonna ever know it. So thank you. Like that's why I'm like, you invite me to be genuine and authentic about this, because it's a gift, and at the same time, because I'm ignorant to the gift, I'm like, be confident about it and be confident about the authenticity and transparency about it. And you do that for me, and I'm like, oh. I'm so thankful the recipe of people who made you as well, because you know the deep and meaningfuls, you know the love, and you've been articulating it the whole time. And I'm like, I speak love 100%. Like, if that's one thing that, if that's, I like, of all the love languages, I'm like, I speak love first. I speak love first, and I used to be words of affirmation and quality time were my two things. And I've moved over to physical touch, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is new. Because I just redid the test is different now, and I'm like, oh, okay. These are like love languages, and then there's one for like, there's another language that's, I think it's like stress language or like angry language. I don't know what it is, but I was like, oh, weird. When I did the whole testing, it came up with physical touch and quality time, and I'm like, oh, well, at least I still have quality time.
And bonus, you don't have gifts.
Yeah.
No, I'm not hating on anyone who has gifts as their number one love language.
If I did, cool. I wouldn't be admitting that right now. Yeah. Just letting you know, if I did.
The irony is, I love a good gift. Like, oh my goodness, if Luke, my fiance, was here right now, he'd be like, oh my goodness, Bridget, you're giving people such like flack for gifts. You bloody love a gift. Just shush. Anyway, that's I'm gonna have to do the test again then, because I feel like things may have changed in the love language world.
Yeah, definitely let us know where you're at.
All right, and then so I wanting to know what is in your FAQ. So the last question for today is, what is in your FAQ, or otherwise, what is knowledge that you perceive to be in your FAQ?
Can I, before I respond, can you guys give me more detail? Like, can you guys elaborate? Like, I feel like
No, yeah, we can.
Give me some more material. I'm keen to.
So which stories have you archived? You know, so like when we talk about the FAQ, which stories have you archived? Which stories or which knowledges that you feel like, you know, are inventoried, or you've come. It's kind of like you've done a drive by. Like, you know, like you're like, oh, religion, I'll just drive by that. Or like, you know. Hey, I'm being open and honest here. And or placed at the back of your, like, you know, let's say something is really in there and you're like, okay, this story I actually don't want people to know about, and we don't have to talk about it now, but you know, we can give a nod to being like, that's in a high security vault, or that's you'll have to be with Bridget for 25 years before you can get that conversation out of me, you know, like that type of love. And hey, for all we know, you might not have a far queue, you might have a front queue. what's in the front for you right now?
Man, like, I feel like we've definitely touched on a lot of material already. Like, and for me, I think it changes, but like, we've touched on fire, speaking in elements, speaking in creativity, speaking in knowledge and love, and that's definitely something that that's definitely something that has been on my mind, and I've been thinking about it a lot. In terms of, I mean, this is a big question for me, because I don't know if you guys have ever done strength finders before. Strength finders, full disclosure, I don't know why I need to say that, but I'm not sponsored by them. But hey, Strength Finders 2.0, if you guys hear this, happy to be a sponsor, because it's a fantastic resource. And basically you do a quiz and it spits out your top 5 strengths. And one of my strengths is context. And the strength of context is basically, it's someone that loves to pick up themes and symbols and like learnings, stories, right? Basically being a lover of storytelling. And anytime I find myself where I need to make a decision or I need to explain something, using that context to do it. So because it's a strength of mine, it's really hard to answer this, because I'm constantly living my life in themes, right? Like, there's a lot there. But like, I mean, I honestly feel like I am still writing my story. I think my FAQ is still in development, but what I am learning through the journey that I've been on, and maybe we haven't really touched on this, and maybe this is the spot to do it. So the context that where I've been, and a little bit about my life, when people ask, like, tell us about your journey. The journey and the story that I tell is that I was a lawyer for about 3 years. So as a lawyer, I worked really, really, really hard to become that. It wasn't something that came naturally. In fact, I would say this actually does bring up a bit around like, what is my FAQ? I would say for a long time, I had always seen, I didn't see myself as an intelligent person at all. Like, I am from a family of people that have, like dyslexia, the one is it the one with the numbers as well? Like, it's not dyspraxia, but it's basically like dyslexia with numbers as well. And I had never seen myself as a very intelligent person. The thing is, though, a lot of people told me that I was creative. And for a long time, every time I heard the word, oh, you're creative, you're creative, you're creative, it basically sounded like a backhanded compliment of you're stupid, right? Because we see creativity and intellect as being these two different things, Yeah. It's like right side, left side of the brain. And so for a long time, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm clearly a stupid person that the only thing I can do is creativity, whatever the hell that means. There's absolutely no career path in it. And especially when I was younger, that was what the, like, what is a career in creativity when you are growing up in like the early 2000s, right? Anyway, so I put creativity in a box and I just was like, I'm not going to touch it. It's something that can't give me any value in life. It's just a hobby. It's just a thing that I like on the side, and I need to focus on what a real career is. So I pushed myself to become a lawyer, and I worked really, really hard, and I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to law. To do law school at UC, and then I got a summer clerkship, and then I became a grad position at a really great law firm, and I was that lawyer I had always wanted to be. And my dad was incredibly proud. He studied law, but he was never that lawyer. Anyway, so there I am at the law firm, practicing law, you know, so bloody exciting to tell people like, oh, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, I'm a solicitor, and like, you know, giving them the business card and certifying documents, and it says Bridget Williams, solicitor of the High Court. And it's like, oh yeah, this is so exciting. But wrapped up in all of this, I was like deeply, deeply, deeply unhappy, incredibly unhappy. And I was like, why? Like, why? I've worked so hard to be here. Like, you know, I did the work. Like, what am I missing? And I realized it was that creativity that I had been neglecting. It was literally like banging on the box inside of my soul, being like, let me out. And when I say I was like upset, and I'm really sorry if this is triggering for some people, so disclosure, warn, you've been people out of the podcast listening, you've been warned. But I do say this with love. And if anyone has been through this, I'm really sorry, but know that there is the other side. And I've been really lucky enough to find it. And I hope this story can maybe bring you some peace with that. But when I say that I was upset, it was bad. It was like I would be putting on my court attire, you know, like wearing the jacket and the pants and the white shirt and stuff. And I would literally be sobbing in front of the mirror, being like, what am I doing? I remember I would be biking to work, and I remember thinking, if I bike really close to a car, and if the car door opened, I could go to hospital instead of work today. Like, I literally thought that was like a rational, I was like, that seems so rational. Like, yeah, I could go to hospital instead of work. And I say all of that just to kind of paint the picture that this wasn't like, oh, you know, I was having a bad day at work. This was like, no, I just did not like who I was becoming. And if this was the rest of my life, I don't know how long I really would have survived in it for. Anyway, but at the same time, I was so sick and tired of feeling helpless. So I decided to finally open up that little box inside of me and let my creative spirit run free. And I painted a necklace. And as I started painting this necklace, I just got like lost in the whole flow of creativity. It was this way where I was like tapping into the space that I hadn't touched in so long, which is just when you're in that flow and different ideas and philosophies are coming to you. And I think that's the beauty of creativity. It sparks creativity, right? And I was like, man, I haven't done this in so long. And I realized it was the ritual, as you said, Marlo, that I had been neglecting. This part of me that I'd been neglecting for so long and disregarding its power, because other people had told me that, you know, creativity doesn't serve the world or isn't of value. And it was the first time I was like, no, I really want to change the narrative on this. So I painted these 5 beads and I wore them to work the next day. And I had a bunch of people saying, oh man, like, you know, this is such a cool necklace. Like, where did you get it from? Could you make me one? And then I thought I really wanted to share the experience that I had in that moment of that creative ritual with other people. And like, we need to get other people to feel this, right? So I thought I could bring people together to come and, you know, paint beads. And, you know, maybe the idea is they have to bring something while they're painting to inspire each other to, you know, to be better versions of themselves. So whether it's, you know, sharing a podcast or a book or a lesson, a quote, whatever it is, just what is something that can inspire you to, you know, proceed yourself to be a better version. Hence the name Bead and Proceed. And so I was like, cool, this is a fun concept where we can see where this goes. And then like literally the next day I was flipping through a magazine and then I came across this framework called the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. And this framework, what drew to me was like the colors. It's these 17 beautiful different colors. And then I realized that each color connected to a different goal. So like dark green was climate action, pink was reduced inequalities, red was no poverty. And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, first of all, what a brilliantly like beautiful aesthetic framework, and it's so powerful. And then I realized that New Zealand had adopted this framework back in 2015. And I'm like, why does no one know about this? Because this was January 2016. And then I thought, oh my goodness, that's it. the 5 beads that you create represent the top 5 goals that you want to work on personally. And so suddenly the necklace or the beads, the bracelet or the keyring, it's not just a pretty piece of necklace or a jewelry. It's actually a statement saying, these are the 5 things that you care about, reminding you of your commitment and serving as a conversation starter to spread awareness about this really important framework. And then I sat on the idea for 2 years because I thought it was the stupidest thing in the whole world. Once again, this self-doubt around the power of creativity and the lack of belief in myself and the constant rhetoric that I had heard when I was younger that I was stupid. And it was the little things, like when I talk about, the little things that stick with you around me feeling like I had this lack of intelligence. Like, I'll never forget it. I must have been like maybe 7 years old or maybe 8. And I remember I was at my primary school library and I still remember her name, Glennis. Bloody Glennis. Glennis was like showing me, where to find the dictionaries. And she was like, oh, Bridget, so here are the dictionaries. These are the ones, she like pulled out an Oxford dictionary. And then she's like, but for you might be better suited to these dictionaries. And it was like the picture ones, like the thin little dictionary that had like a picture of a dog. And it's like, even though I was young, I still remember being like, thank you, Glennis, for making me feel like an idiot. Like as a 7-year-old, I could feel, and I remember in that moment, I also realized like, it's that little moment, and we have them when we're younger, where we stop looking up, we stop looking up to adults. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you have that moment in your life, because for so long, like adults are always kind of seen as these superheroes that know everything and they're great. And I remember in that moment, I was like, man, this adult really let me down. And it's a really pivotal moment, I think, when you're younger, when you have those moments. But anyway, I digress. So there I am, tapping into this strength, or re-tapping into the strength of creativity with this concept of Bead and Proceed, connecting it to the Sustainable Development Goals. And then the United Nations found out about it through the Christchurch branch. And they said, look, we would love to help fund this to kickstart your journey. Long story short, got the seed funding, had the kits all set up, and we launched in 2019. And then I started to get businesses wanting me to come into their workplace to deliver these workshops. And I thought, man, maybe there's something here. And that's when I had to make the leap to actually commit to this full time. And I remember it was scary. I remember having to tell my dad, because obviously, he's been a massive contributor and cheerleader for, me doing law. And I'm just like, hey, Dad, look, I just wanted to let you know. And I'm having coffee with him. And I said, look, I think I'm going to leave law. And then his response was, you're not going to do that bead thing, are you? I'm just like, yeah, Dad, I am. I am going to do that bead thing. And but the thing is, like, this whole process and what this has taught me is like, honestly, I just feel so incredibly grateful for that power of creativity and the importance of tapping into your strength and recognizing it and cherishing it and nourishing it. It's honestly like your strength is like a little baby and you just have to love it unconditionally. You can't neglect it. You can't put it in a box and try and starve it. It's gonna bang on the doors and ask to be utilized and worked with. And I think when we start looking at our strengths as these little, sorry, this is so weird, but as these little babies that need nourishing, I just picture these like little babies inside of us being like, I'm just, sorry. Okay, but seriously, like if we did that, if we really looked after ourselves as like we are a mother or father, however you see yourself as the parent figure, and it's our responsibility to look after these strengths that, the universe have given you. Don't neglect them. Like, love them, cherish them. They are going to give you the most amazing life that you can dream of. And I've been so lucky that with Bead and Proceed, it has taken me to Japan. I've been lucky enough to meet the Right Honourable Helen Clark. I've been to the Imperial Tokyo Palace. Like what? Like, these are just 5 little beads, and they have transported me to like across the world and have given me so much. I'm just so grateful, and I can't even really describe how anyone who has been in that position, whether you are uncertain of who you are and what you're supposed to do in the world, like, the first step is like listen to your strength, and just know that maybe that career path for you, maybe you haven't created it yet. Like, maybe that's the whole point. Maybe you are supposed to create it, and to don't listen to the Gladyses of the world. You can read the Big Kid Dictionary, but it's honestly like through Bead and Proceed, it has given me so many lessons, and I could go on and on and on about them, but I would say like that has probably been a massive journey for me, and it's a big story, a long one, I apologize, but it sort of paints the picture of where I have been, and through that journey I've learned a lot along the way. And yeah, so that's the story. That's I guess, yeah, my whākio of my journey, my reconnection and relove of claiming the power of creativity within me. Yeah.
Just gonna take a deep breath into that one, because wow. It's like, yeah, we understand that, with everything that people carry, it's a gift for someone to share their story with us. So for you as a storyteller to understand how potent it is, the experiential path that you walked on versus the storytelling ability, and it's like, that's something that we understand. Well, Kelsey and myself, we're really so thankful that you're able to share that with us, because you don't have to. You're invited to, but you don't have to share anything with us. And the fact that you're so forthcoming with your love. So for us, although we consider it as a koha, we understand that at deeper levels, and so do you, and you've reminded us today, it's about the love that you'll be able to weave into the space. So thank you for lighting our ambers with your story. And at the same time, if people want to connect with you, how is that best? How are they best? So if they resonate with your story, if they really feel like, okay, who is the Bead and Proceed woman? Okay, who is this person? How would they best connect with you?
I would like Instagram. So just Bead and Proceed. Or you can message me if you've got a LinkedIn account. I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. So I would say Instagram or LinkedIn. And my LinkedIn account is just Bridget Williams.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And any shout outs to any of your people that have helped you in your recipe to today?
Oh my goodness. Jeez.
Yeah, the list.
Yes.
Who are those bright stars in your constellation? Huh?
Yeah, definitely Luke, my fiance, and my mum. They were the 2 people that told me to just say, look, where could Bead and Proceed go if you gave it 100%? So I have so much aroha for them. Shout out to you guys, like giving people like me the platform to share these stories. They don't mean anything if they aren't shared. You know what I mean? Like, it's the stuff that you do is so important, and it's thanks to the energy that you create to make people feel like it's a safe space to have this rich discussion. So thank you so much to both of you, Kelsey and Malu. Yeah. And
thank you for like being willing to come and to share. Like Malu said, no one has to, but we know that your story is going to resonate with so many people. So thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you, Kelsey. It's been such a joy, and like, who would have thought that we would be talking about fire elements? I did not expect it to go there, right? I was just we'll talk about, maybe we'll talk about, I don't know, Bead and Proceed and like the Sustainable Development Goals. And we're just like, fire elements. I'm like, I am all about this. And I have come away with there's definitely been some aha moments for me. Those beautiful moments talking about knowledge and love. So you guys keep saying thank you, but I need to say thank you to you guys, because it's been such a joy to to experience these little aha moments with you guys. It's amazing.
All right, we started with a jingle. We're gonna end with a jingle. So join in. The fuck you.
Fuck you.
The fuck you.
Hey, fuck you. Hey, the fuck you.
Fuck you.
The fuck you.
Thank you so much. All right, I'm blowing out the candle. I lit a fire for you. Okay, so I'm letting you know that. Okay.
See you later, whānau.
Ka kite.